Hi. Hi, my name is Paul. Today I'm going to talk to you about Snowflake Bentley. He's very famous for photographing snowflakes, and that's why they call him Snowflake Bentley. His real name was William. William Bentley was born on February 9th, 1865 in Jericho, Vermont. His mother was a teacher, his father was a farmer, so he lived on a farm. One of the things Bentley loved the most was playing in the snow. And even more than that, he loved looking at snowflakes, the designs of the snowflakes up close. He was fascinated by them, and at one time he actually tried to draw them with a pencil and paper. He'd capture a snowflake on his mitten or a hat and bring it into the house and quickly try to draw it. But he'd only get about halfway through and the snowflake would have melted. He tried for years to draw the snowflakes. He really wanted to have a camera. They couldn't afford the camera, the family. His mother, however, was able to give him a microscope so he could look at the snowflakes in more detail. Of course, he had to do that outside because if he brought the snowflakes inside with the microscope, they'd melt right there on the slide in the microscope. Eventually, his parents did buy him a camera, and the camera cost as much as 10 cows if his dad was to go out and buy cows. So it was a very expensive camera and quite a sacrifice for the family. So he started photographing these snowflakes. He was actually the first person ever to photograph a snowflake. That was in 1885. Eventually, through his lifetime, he photographed over 5,000 different kinds of snowflakes. And during that time, not a single one was a duplicate. No two snowflakes are ever the same. And he was the gentleman who came up and kind of proved that. So as he was working on these photographs, people kept thinking he was crazy. What are you doing it for? But it ends up being a very memorable event and very helpful scientifically. His photographs were eventually published in famous magazines like National Geographic and Scientific American, and they are used now for studies all around the world. The book, he actually had published a book, and that was in 1931, of many of his snowflakes, and I have a copy here I'll show you in a second. So why don't you come over and let's take a look at that. Snowflakes are actually called snow crystals, and a snow crystal is a single snowflake. When you get, so a snowflake can be called or a crystal can be called a snowflake if it's just a single crystal. If it's more than one crystal, then we call them snowflakes like that. So here's some of the ones here. I want to show you his camera that he was using. Right here is Mr. Bentley outside using his camera and his microscope. At the very end of the camera is a microscope. Hard to see the microscope, but it's there. And so in this book called Snow Crystals, published in 1931 by Mr. Bentley, we can take a look at the various shapes of snowflakes or snow crystals. So every one of them has 6 points, a hexagon. So I'm going a little further in the book. Here's some more shapes here. And as we get further along, some very delicate looking shapes here. So we're going to make our own snowflake. So let's get started. The way to get started, you can use some paper that you use on a printer. Although this is kind of thick paper, it's a little hard to bend sometimes, but you'll see. You're going to split the paper in two, keep one half, then you're going to turn it over like this, and then we're going to just fold up one piece up along the line here, because what we want it to do eventually is make a square out of this paper. In order to do that, we're then going to cut this, and the materials you should have on hand is a scissors, a ruler's helpful, a pencil is nice. I'm going to use a marker just so it can show up better. And so you start folding and then you start cutting. Now this activity is good for, I think, children 10 years or older because the folding is a little difficult and the cutting can actually get a little difficult. We're going to take this piece, which is now a square, and we're going to fold it right over to make a big triangle just like this. All right, and then we open it up. And you look right here, you could put a little mark here because sometimes the folds are hard to see. So you can see right there. You're going to take the tip here, just one tip, and bring it right down to that point there. And then crease that fold right there. Move it back up, and then you're just going to make a little mark right there because it's easier to see if you have a mark. And then you're just going to fold up to the mark. like that. And make sure the creases are tight. Bring them right down. And then we bring that back up. Once again, we're going to take just one top, and this time, oh, what we ought to do is mark right here so we can see it better. And we're going to just bring this top right down to that point. And again, crease it like that. And then we're going to just fold that back up. And then at this point, we're going to fold this whole side. Well, let me show you again why. This is why we're using a pencil, so we can see these sides a lot better. And we're going to mark that. We're going to fold all the way over to that point right there. And just make a crease. At this point, you're going to flip the paper over, and you're going to line this side up with this side. Just like that. Great. Okay. And now we're going to take the whole thing and fold it one more time up like this. And I hope you can see it because it's getting smaller and my hands are covering quite a bit of it, but you get the idea. All right. And really press that hard down, that crease. All right. At this point, we're going to turn it over. And you can see the paper right here. I'll make a little line there. And we're actually going to cut that piece off. And cutting that piece off, we then go to the very bottom, right down here. And at the very bottom, we're just going to cut a little bit off, and that's what's going to make the hole in our snowflake right there in the center. At this point, this is where you got to be careful. You don't want to cut where it's folded. You want to cut into the fold. So I'm just going to make a little pattern here of what I want to cut out. And then I'm just going to cut it. And of course, be careful with the scissors. Here we go. And like that. Now this is the great reveal. It's also kind of a delicate process because everything's folded in tight. And so you got to be kind of slow and careful trying to open it up. Oh, this is going to be an interesting one. Ooh, I can get it open. There we go. All right, there's our snowflake right there. All right. Oh, look at that. We got 6 points on it, the hexagon. All right, now you can change that shape. Again, I've made 3 of them here, and none of them are exactly alike. So one thing I want to point out is that you can iron these on an ironing board. If you put it on the ironing board and a piece of parchment paper and a warm iron over it, it'll flatten them out and it'll get rid of all the wrinkles. All right, with that, I just want to show you one more thing. Here's some places on YouTube that you can go to. On the very first one it has several patterns that actually are printable, and it'll show you where to fold. It tells you how to fold. You can pick out the different kinds of snowflakes. On the very bottom one is a pattern for children to color snowflakes. Thank you and have a great day.